She was talking about how many noodles she was using, and that when she makes this pasta at home, because remember, this is not her house, she makes enough to put into the kids' school lunchboxes the next day. Archie doesn't go to school, and neither does Lilibet. They're 5 and 3. Lilibet has a lunchbox. You're going to send spaghetti to school with a 3-year-old? I call BS. Let's talk Meghan Markle. Let's talk about that stupid ass show. I am telling you right now that I put it on and I thought, you know what? This might be a time when Meghan can really revitalize herself. I was 1000% on the side of her showing us a side that we liked. I was not watching that show to hate it. I really, really wasn't. I went with a clear mind. I went with a willing spirit. I thought to myself, it would be awesome if this could just be a thing where we were like, you know what, I have misjudged that girl. Because, this is something that I've learned. When I was watching that Pamela Anderson documentary a while back, and I did a video about that, and I realized how badly I'd misjudged her. Not like that I hated her or anything. I just thought she was a dumb bimbo. I just thought she was like a big boobed, blonde 90s bimbo. And I really credit her with nothing. And as I watched that documentary, I thought, man, I feel really bad that I judged her so badly. Like, she is has a beautiful spirit. She's so genuine. I ended that documentary and I thought, she's my new favorite person. I love her. And so I just wanted that same experience with Meghan. Now, I didn't really expect I'd get it. But I did go in open-minded thinking I could be shocked by what I see. Folks, I was shocked, but not in the way I'd hoped to be. Let me just say that I don't know if I've ever seen worse television. Let me just tell you right now, everything I say is not hyperbolic. This is 100% the worst thing I've ever seen. Let's start out with the premise, the set, okay? She's clearly in like this little cottage that's set in it's very visually pleasing. It's a cute little cottage on beautiful acreage. And she is talking about how her friend is coming to visit her. And this friend of hers apparently was somebody that she'd known from Suits. He did her makeup and they had become quite good friends. As he's doing her makeup, they start talking and it just blossomed, according to her, into this friendship that lasts to this day, to the point that her kids call him uncle. Okay. Right, Meghan. So she starts by saying that she's going to prepare the guest room. Because, of course, this show, it's not just a cooking show. Everyone's calling it a cooking show. Oh, no. It's a lifestyle show. And this is all about how to make the people in your life feel loved and seen. And it's about doing like the little things to let people know you're thinking about them. So she proceeds to create some bath salts, which, according to one person that I saw who described this recipe, that she's like totally like on the fly. Like she's just like dumping salts and putting all these oils. She's putting arnica oil in by like tons of arnica oil, and just, there's no recipe. Like there's no way to follow this. Like even if you were like, I want to make bath salts for my next house guest and put it in their bathroom, you couldn't. This is not a tutorial you can follow. She is like madcap dumping varieties of salt. She's got Himalayan salt. She's got Epsom salt. She got oils. And then she like makes this little tea bag thing to go in it. And, because she's like, well, you don't want like the flower petals and stuff just, getting clogged in the drain and stuff. So she makes that. And I mean, that's a good point. But I saw somebody say that the amount of arnica oil that she put into this concoction would burn your skin. And this person was like, please don't do this. Like, this is not something that you want to offer anybody or offer yourself. This will burn your skin if you put this in the bath. Already, we are off to a bad start, you guys. So she makes her little bath salts. And then she says that she's going to go and she's going to make some snacks to put on this tray for Uncle So-and-so who's coming. Then she says, okay, we made the bath salts. Now let's go make some snacks, because of course it's good to put some little snacks in their room, in case they get those late night munchies, And so she goes, she takes her burning bath salts and she goes into the kitchen. And I have this to say, she continually tells us over and over and over, almost with startling repetition, that this is not her house. This is not my house. This is not my house. I don't live here. This isn't my house. And it's like, do you think that we thought it was? I don't think anybody expected that you let a crew into your house. I mean, you were so worried about your privacy. But so I'm like, are you telling us this because you don't want anybody to come and try to find this place to find you? Or do you think that it's not elegant and big enough? It's, these cottage vibes. This is not my house. I mean, it just was weird that she kept saying, I've never seen anybody on a cooking show ever consistently say to the audience, this is not my house. I don't live here. This is a set. We built this. This is not my house. Yeah, okay. We know a TV works. Then, this is the other thing that really bugged me. Sometimes she would talk to us as the audience, to let us know things like, this is not my house. But then she does this thing where she's constantly talking to the cameraman, or he's asking her questions, and she's sort of like distractedly answering him or talking to him. And what it does is it creates this wall with us as the audience. Instead of her like looking into the camera and talking to us and so she avoids eye contact constantly with us, the viewer. And she's either awkwardly talking to her guest, and the awkwardness of the conversations knows no bounds. I'm telling you. I mean, we're going to get into it. She's either awkwardly talking to her guests, or she's making some comment to the cameraman, but we are not invited. That's what it feels like. We as the audience, we're not invited to this show. We never feel like we're part of this. And I've never seen a cooking show or a lifestyle brand or anything like that so excludes you as the viewer. She's afraid of us. I mean, there's real, you can feel her fear throughout the entire thing. Her discomfort, her knowledge that she's about to be judged is so palpable. So she comes in to make her snacks, right? She made her burning salt so she can burn the living daylights out of her friend when he takes a bath at night. But now it's time to put some snacks together. Now, I know you guys have all seen this. So I'm not going to be telling you anything you haven't seen. But the first snack she makes is she takes a piece of Indian corn and she puts it into, like dried corn, and she puts it into a plastic bag. And she's like, I just learned very recently that you can just put this whole thing in the microwave in 2 minutes. It's like you could pop some popcorn. So she does. And she pulls it out and, her trick worked. I'm just going to tell you this much right now. That's flavorless. That's flavorless. Some good popcorn. You get you a thick bottomed pot and you put it on the stove, right? Then you drizzle the bottom with olive oil, right? And you cover the bottom with some corn kernels. You put a lid on it. You turn it medium, right? When it starts popping, you make sure that the lid's off just a little bit to air the steam. You don't want soggy popcorn. You shake that around a little bit, right? When it stops popping, you take the lid off. You pour that popcorn into a bowl. In the same hot pot, put some butter in, okay? Let that butter melt. Pour it over your popcorn. Sprinkle it with salt. Delicious, okay? Delicious. Better than anything you've ever had from any little microwave situation. All right, okay. Meghan then takes her dry-ass popcorn and decides, we're going to do truffles. Let's do truffle oil, okay? Nobody likes truffle oil. All right, so she drizzles it with truffle oil and some truffle salt. Then she puts that stale-ass popcorn into a little plastic bag and she ties it with a little knot and she puts it on the tray. She's not done yet, though, blowing your minds. Then she's like, since we did so much work with that, we'll do something easier next. Was it so hard to throw a corn cob in a bag and throw that in the microwave? Oh, no. But she's got to rest herself now, the arduous task of making that. She goes into her pantry, reminding us that it's not her house. So she digs around, she finds some peanut butter pretzels, right? She opens the bag of peanut butter pretzels, gets another plastic bag. Isn't this a person who cares about the environment? How much plastic are we going to use here? She gets another plastic bag and she puts her little peanut butter pretzels in, saying that she's been eating these for years. Can you believe it? She's still enough of a layman to eat peanut butter pretzels. I know, can you believe it? Peanut butter pretzels, if I dare admit it. But the thing that just blew my mind, that I just thought, girl, how many working brain cells have you got? She's like, now I've seen my friend eat peanut butter, so I know he's not allergic, but I'm still going to go ahead and label this bag that it has peanut butter in it, just because you have to be aware of people's allergies. Girl, you are aware of his allergies, that he doesn't have any because you've seen me eat peanut butter. But she goes ahead and she gets a little tag. She labels it. This has peanut butter in it. Who are you expecting to wander into his room and eat his peanut butter pretzels? He's not allergic. What are you adding a tag for? What a waste of time. I mean, it's like, it's like she has heard that you should label ingredients because some people are allergic. And, she's just going to throw that out there because this is a show about taking care of people. And she's like, I hear that's a way that people take care of other people is to mention ingredients that could cause allergies. So I'm just going to throw that into the show, even though it completely doesn't apply. You guys, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Okay, so the friend is about to show up, but she decides she needs to make some kind of appetizer. And this is where we are introduced to her pitiable knife skills. She decides to make a tray of crudité. And this is like literally all she knows how to do. And I'm not the first person to say this. Obviously, this is what everyone's saying. The only thing she knows how to do in the kitchen is cut up food into little pieces and arrange it on a tray. She's all about the arranging. And honestly, that's what she does in her life. She takes something, transforms it into nothing, cuts it up into little pieces, arranges it, and tries to let you think that she's pulled something off. The crudité tray was Meghan Markle in food form. You literally took the raw vegetable and you put it over on a tray, and you tried to make us feel like something had happened. It hadn't happened. Nothing's happened. But her friend, walks in as she's making this tray, and, his little bald brain is blown. Raw vegetables on a tray? Meghan, you've always been a great cook. Look at the way you put those peas down. They're like little pearls. I never saw a tray of veggies like that. Meanwhile, they don't eat any of it, so it's all just too wasted. And she tells him that, she's got stuff that she wants them to do that day. And but first she wants to feed him, and he's like, you've always fed me. I've always left this place, 10 pounds fatter because of your cooking. And she's like, 10 pounds of love. It's all good food. 10 pounds of love. And so she proceeds to make him, quite frankly, the most disgusting pasta dish I've ever seen. And the reason I say that is not because the ingredients aren't fresh or whatever. I just feel like, is it that hard to wash a pot that you boiled noodles in? It's practically clean. All you have to do is rinse it out. But she's like, this is so great because you don't have any dishes. And so this is going to be really great for you when you go back to New York. Because you just have to have the one pot and you can just, not even have to do a lot of dishes. Cooking spaghetti is so hard. And also, can I just say that if somebody came over to my house and my big thing was that I'm a big cook and I love food, the last thing that I would serve them would be spaghetti. Isn't that what you make when you're desperate and there's nothing else to make? And you're like, I gotta feed this family for the bajillionth time and I can't figure out what to make for dinner. We'll make spaghetti. And granted, it's not like she opened a jar of ragu. But she's over there, she's cutting up some tomatoes and she hands her friend some tomatoes to cut because she's going to bring him into this because she's going to feed him but also make him work. Literally within seconds, he's cut himself. This person is the most shallow, uninteresting, inexperienced buffoon I think I've ever seen. You can see why he agreed to do the show with her because I don't even think he has the capacity to intellectualize the fact that he does not need to get anywhere near this person if he hopes to work again. Everything she showed him blew his mind. He had never, he was like a newborn babe. He was just like, what? Wow, what is that? Whoa, huh? Whoa. The tray of Crudités is a perfect example. He acted like he'd never even heard of the concept of cut up vegetables with some hummus. So she involves him. He cuts himself immediately. And I thought to myself, how much did they desperately need footage that they were willing to incorporate him cutting himself as part of the show? They must have just been like, we've edited down so much, we're just going to have to let him bleed over here and let that be part of the show. So she fixes him up with a Band-Aid and she decides that she's going to have to kind of do her own thing. And throughout the show, it becomes clear that she can't trust him because, he cut himself within seconds of being on screen. She fixes up her friend. And she proceeds to begin to make the pasta recipe herself because she can't rely on him for any help. And she's cutting her tomatoes and then she's like, you know what I think? I think I'm going to add some garlic. Wow, revolutionary. Spaghetti and you're going to go with garlic. Oh, wow, okay. Girl, if you're going to cook spaghetti, you better have some garlic. She proceeds to chop the garlic with a paring knife. And as somebody who does enjoy cooking for her family, I am telling you, her knife skills ache my soul. I can't stand watching her. Her little hands and her little knife. It's just like, girl, you're going to chop your fingers. She's got her fingers and the knife blade all up in it. And I'm like, All I can think of was that Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix where she just goes ham on this one woman for cutting an orange with a knife that's too small.
Well, isn't that a stupid knife?
I don't know.
Why? Why would you use a little knife to cut a big orange? You know how fast a big knife cuts?
And I felt my inner Martha Stewart really begin to scream out, get a bigger knife. Why are you cutting that garlic with that paring knife with your fingers all up in the way? Honestly, if people couldn't watch the show because of the knife thing, I would understand that completely. Her inability, and for somebody who loves to cut things, somebody whose only skill set is to cut, bigger things into smaller things, you would think that at least she would have a nice set of knives so that as she's making fruit trays and veggie trays and all the trays she makes, she could at least not cut her fingers. I cannot even describe to you how frustrating it is to watch her cut a bell pepper in the next episode with a paring knife. She's trying to make a frittata. She's cutting the onions. She's cutting the bell peppers with a paring knife.
Chop up whatever veggies you have.
Get the hell out of here with that. It's unwatchable. Anyway, she makes her sad spaghetti. She's throwing all kinds of stuff into it. But where's the seasoning? That's the thing I kept thinking. She's like, we don't even have to use any dairy here because the pasta water and the starch water, the pasta, the starch water, the pasta, it makes the sauce. It makes the sauce. No dairy. No dairy. Where's the cheese? She says as she it's like, you got dairy. That's what the cheese is. No. It wasn't. It's the starch water that makes it thick and good. It's not the dairy. I think it's the cup of cheese you added at the end. Anyway, she's throwing in kale stems because she didn't bother to she did not use her paring knife to cut off the kale leaves. She's throwing in the stems too. That's got to cook down. And I am telling you that what she served at the end hadn't cooked long enough to develop any flavor, and it quite frankly looked like a bowl of compost. I just found the whole thing unappetizing. And, there might be other people who are like, no, it looked really good. Yeah, it was colorful. But it didn't look like anything that I would be like, I can't wait for that. This is the other thing that's crazy is she was talking about how many noodles she was using and that when she makes this pasta at home, because remember, this is not her house, she makes enough to put into the kids' school lunchboxes the next day. They don't go to school. We already know that. If they went to school, we'd know about it. She's constantly talking about her kids' day like they go somewhere. They don't. Archie doesn't go to school, and neither does Lilibet. They're 5 and 3. Lilibet has a lunchbox. You're going to send spaghetti to school with a 3-year-old? I call BS. Anyway, she sets the food in front of her friend, who again acts like he can't even believe that someone made pasta. And he's eating it, and the first thing he says is, "This is so effing good." And she's like, "You like it?" And they're both of them, leaned over their bowls like a couple of pigs at trough. I mean, it's just like, I've never seen anything so disgusting. So after they get done just going to town on the pasta, full of kale stems and pasta water, we get on to the activity she has planned for her friend. So she says they're going to make candles. Okay. All right. And I should say that at the beginning of the episode, she opens the episode with her down at the bees. Apparently they have bees on this property that doesn't belong to them, but is, I'm not really sure what this is. She says they've had these bees for a year, and she just, she knows other people can deal with the bees, but she's got to have her beekeeper with her because the bees are too much for her. It scares her. And so she goes down there and they get the bees. They get the honey, and then from that scenario, we're supposed to believe that she's gotten this basin of beeswax. All right, whatever. Maybe she did. I don't know. But they go in to make some candles, and they're going to melt this candle wax, and she's getting a little bit flustered because the candle wax, this is not one of those things where you can just, wing it, she says. This isn't like when you're making bath salts where you just throw in all the ingredients and enough arnica oil to burn the skin off of your guest. You actually have to pay attention to this one, she says. And, we've got to get that wax exactly. We're going to have to use a handy thermometer. And you do see her get a little tense about it, that it's not going to work, but they're melting down their wax. And again, her friend, his mind is blown. I don't even think I've seen beeswax before. I've never seen it like this. You know, his eyes are as wide as could be. And they melt down the wax, and then he says he's going to pour it into the containers. Well, of course, he pours it all over the place. They're like two friends who have never done anything, but they decide like one night they're going to get crafty. I'll tell you what's weird in this show is that I just feel like it's amateur hour for her. What with the paring knife, what with her, you know, arranging vegetables on a tray and talking to you the whole time like she's giving you a lot of wisdom and insight into the process of kitchen activities. I heard one commenter say that, you know, she's like cutting strawberries. She's making these comments like, now you want to make sure that you cut these strawberries so that they're easy for people to grab. And she's only cutting them in half. It's like, what technique did you use that I'm supposed to be like, oh, it's mind blown. I wouldn't have known to cut a strawberry like that. I'm glad I tuned in because I don't think I would have known about that way to do it. Like she's like literally doing nothing, but she keeps talking to you like she's showing you something, like you're having an experience, like she's letting you into some of this inside knowledge. What? All right, so they make their little candles, and you know they're labeling their candles, and it's this whole. It's like it's just hard to watch because they're not interesting together. She's boring and he's boring. And you're just like waiting and waiting for that scene to get done. And then she tells him that it's time for cake. And they're going to go and make a cake. Now, apparently she already baked the cake. You know, we go back in time and we see her like making the cake. And then, but she saved it so that together they can decorate it. And I just have to say that for any adult male, I don't care if he is as gay as the day is long. This sounds like the worst day any man could have. You know what I mean? Like eating a bowl of pasta water and then going and making candles and then decorating a cake. It's like, geez Louise, man. I'd have been like, when is this day over? So they go and they decorate the cake. And it is painful because one of the things that is featured prominently in this show is that Meghan is constantly trying to give the viewer a little message about the way they need to treat her without getting like directly preachy. So she says to him, now on this cake, we are going to decorate between the layers. We're going to do some cream and then we're going to do some jam, but we're going to leave the sides bare. And what we're going to think about is the fact that she's beautiful on the inside. So the outside, we're going to leave bare and we're going to leave it more rustic looking because what we're focusing on is the fact that there's beauty on the inside. There's beauty on the inside. And this is a reference that they continue to make the entire time they're doing the cake. Look how pretty she is on the inside. Look how pretty she is on the inside. When they cut into the cake, remember, maybe not much to look at on the outside. Pretty on the inside. And you're just like, okay, that was a stupid thing to say in the first place. Like, it's not heartwarming. It's not insightful. It's not wise, full of wisdom. It's not full of just like this earthy, good-natured, down-home wisdom. It's none of that. It feels stupid as And she's like, remember, beauty on the inside. So they eat their cake. They go outside. They eat their cake. He's blown away by the scenery. And it is a really beautiful scene. She wants the viewer to know this is actually real. It's not a backdrop or a green screen or anything like that. This is like real, really real, that is. So they finish up their cake. They wrap things up. It's, you know, he is pretty much sent on his way, and that's that. It was excruciating. I mean, I don't even say that lightly. I mean, I'm telling you, that show was hard to watch at every step of the way. I struggled. But of course, we've seen the clips from the upcoming episodes, and we'll talk more about it next week. But I mean, we've seen Meghan being so rude to Mindy. There's 2 moments in the second episode that, you know, feature Mindy, where Mindy is asking her about her look. But she says it L-E-W-K, which is like slang. And she says, tell me about your look. And it's not Mindy's like Indian accent, which I saw somebody be like, I can't believe that Meghan is insulting Mindy and making fun of her accent. Mindy doesn't have an Indian accent. I've never heard of this. What Mindy is saying is L-E-W-K. It's slang. And Meghan is so awkward. She doesn't know what Mindy is saying. She doesn't understand. And the thing that blew my mind was that in production, as they're editing it, they decide to keep this super cringy exchange between the two of them. She's like, tell me about your Luke. Meghan's like, my who? What? What? Yeah?
About your Luke.
My who?
Your Luke. Your look, Meghan.
Oh, my Luke.
Your Luke. Did I not say it right?
I don't know. I mean, like, you're way cooler than I am. I don't know what you're talking. My Luke. My
Yes.
look. She likes my Luke.
Your Luke.
Oh my gosh.
Your fashion is like one of my favorite things. And
It's just so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing to see Meghan just fumble all over what Mindy clearly meant was a compliment. Again, when Mindy's just trying to keep on a conversation with this person who is as cold as the ice cube that she says you shouldn't make out of tap water. Mindy's like, I can't believe that Meghan Markle used to eat a Jack in the Box. You guys have seen this clip. And Meghan's like, I just think it's kind of funny. And you always know it's going to be bad when someone starts out, I just think it's kind of funny. I just think it's kind of funny that you keep calling me Meghan Markle. I'm Meghan Sussex now.
It's funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. I'm Sussex now. You have kids, and you go, no, I share my name with my children.
yes.
And that feels so, I didn't know how meaningful it would be to me, but it just means so much to go, this is our family name, our little family name.
Well, now I know, and I love it.
Meghan Sussex, that's not even your name. It's not even kind of your name. You're Duchess of Sussex. Okay, so let's just talk about Meghan's name, all right? Meghan is Meghan Duchess of Sussex. She's not Meghan Sussex, and nor are her children either. And why in the world would you want to be Duchess of Sussex when your last name could be, and your children's birth certificates reflect this, Mountbatten Windsor? That sounds so elegant, so refined. It's the name of the royal family. Obviously, from Prince Philip, he came with the Mountbatten name that had been given to him by Louis Mountbatten. And then, of course, we have the Windsor name from Queen Elizabeth. And so they put their two names together, and it's Mountbatten Windsor. And this is the name that is on Archie and Lilibet's birth certificates, that royal last name. Duchess of Sussex means nothing. You don't live there anymore. You are no longer really the Duchess of Sussex because you're the Duchess of Sussex because that is the land in which you reside. You're the Duchess of this area. Your husband is the Duke. But in America, we don't have those titles. Duchess of Sussex means, how can you be the Duchess of Sussex when you don't live there? How can you be? You're not part of the royal family anymore. You made that very clear to us. So why in the world would you take on this ridiculous, fraudulent name? I mean, you might as well be like the Duchess of California, the Duchess of America, the Duchess of Montecito. It's all just made up crap here on this side of the ocean because we don't do titles. But your last name is not Sussex. Harry is not Harry Sussex. Your children are not Lilibet Sussex and Archie Sussex. So for you to make this big stink to poor Mindy, who's just trying to carry on her conversation, I'm not Meghan Markle anymore. I'm Sussex. And so are my children. And I just want to take this time to educate you about the importance that it is for me to share the name of Sussex with my children. You don't. They don't even have Sussex in their name. Not anywhere. And it just blows my mind that she would make such an awkward experience for Mindy. Like the coldness, the selfishness, the narcissism that it would take for somebody to compliment you and you come at them with an insult. I just think it's funny that you would continue to call me Meghan Markle. Where did you even get that? I just think it's funny, Meghan, that you would have a show and yet the editors were so clearly against you. Anyway, we've just seen so many clips. There's the clip that I know we're going to get into when she has this guy over and they're cooking in her kitchen. And again, conversation is stilted. And they're trying to create some kind of rapport, and she's trying to talk about all her time in Koreatown. She loves to talk about Koreatown. And she knows just enough about Korean culture and the subculture over there that she can carry on a conversation with him and name a couple of things. Then they start talking about music, right? And she's like, do you like to listen to music? And he says, yeah. And so he starts listing some. And then he says death metal or whatever. And she's so judgmental to him. And so oh, sorry, excuse me? What did you just say? And he makes a joke and she's like, okay, whatever floats your boat. I mean, she cannot control her face. She cannot control her face. Everything that she is thinking is coming out on her face. And as a person who also has a very expressive face, I understand the necessity of getting some face management in place because I cannot let all my thoughts come out. But she fails so epically in that exchange to be gracious, who cares what he wants to listen to when he's butchering some meat, And he tries to tell a little joke. And she's just like, oh, yeah, okay. But I just can't understand interacting with people like that.
Do you listen to music when you're cooking?
I do. I listen to a lot of lyrical hip hop, jazz, sometimes speed metal, death metal.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
What's speed metal?
Just like dark.
That doesn't sound like the joy of cooking.
Yeah, but, we all have different sides to who we are.
That's true. Multifaceted folks. That's what we are.
It's good for when you're butchering. So I cut these into square.
On your show, that is supposed to be all about taking care of people and loving people where they're at and just showing them this great experience. She can't be bothered.